Welcome back to the Alice Stewart Show on 96.5 The Voice.
Say you want a revolution.
Welcome back to the show. 7:06. The sun is up here in central Arkansas, and sadly, the school shooting story is back on the front page. We had a shooting incident in California, Santa Monica College, where gunmen went on campus and opened fire. The latest number, 5 people dead, including the shooter. And this just brings to light the conversation about guns on campus. And we talked a short time ago with State Representative Charlie Collins, who has introduced the faculty gun carry law, which is set to go into effect in mid-August. And this is an important topic. And we're joined now with Robby Soave with the Daily Caller. Robby, good morning.
Hi, good to be on. Good to talk to you.
Well, thank you for your time. And you've written a piece on the Daily Caller, and I encourage folks to go to dailycaller.com and read your article. Campus bans guns, tells people to nod at attackers. And you're talking about this gun law that's gone into effect in Arkansas, but specifically a detective with the UALR Department of Public Safety says just a glance or nod will do just fine.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, this is what passes for how you would tell people to defend themselves on campus when they can't, when they're not allowed to defend themselves with guns, as the Second Amendment would suggest that they should be able to do. Campuses have been allowed to still prevent people from bringing guns on campus, but they can only prevent the law-abiding people from bringing guns on campus. Someone who means to break the law and do someone harm would bring guns anyway. But in response to several actual attacks on people who were walking onto campus through what I believe to be a dangerous part of town at the University of Arkansas, Little Rock, they said, well, you know what are good tips for avoiding being attacked by assailants? And the university, the Department of Public Safety said one of its tips, which kind of was laughable to people, is if you glance and nod at your attackers, it makes them aware that you're on to them and possibly deters their assault.
As opposed to having faculty and staff members with concealed carry permits bring weapons on campus to help increase security. Right.
Yeah, we couldn't have it. I mean, they the universities are like this. They're liberal, and they're mortified of guns, and they think if you say no one can bring a gun on campus, then nothing violent could ever happen. But we've seen time after time that people who want to commit violence choose these areas where they know they'll encounter no resistance, where they know their victims are disarmed and they can do the most damage. And schools, elementary schools, malls, university campuses are always among their top choices.
My guest is Robby Soave with the Daily Caller. And Robby, the way this stands right now, this piece of legislation was passed in this session. It's expected to be implemented in mid-August, but all of the campuses, the only way, as we heard from our representative who passed this, he felt he knew that the only way he could get this passed is if he softened it in such that each individual university had the opportunity to opt out. And as it stands now, 4 5-year schools have opted out, and more will have meetings as we get closer to the implementation of this. And Charlie says this is how he expected it to go with the way the universities are. And as you said, a lot of times universities are liberal and they have this kind of mindset. But with changing times and sadly more mass shootings, how do you see possibly this changing and more opting in and more wanting staff and faculty with concealed carry permits to allow them to have weapons on campus?
I mean, this is the direction of public opinion, of people realizing that you can show example after example of shootings in the so-called gun-free zone. So people understand that, but no matter how wise or popular the idea of letting guns on campus would be, I would expect you'll still have administrators, not just in Arkansas, but and Arkansas, probably colleges are well, I don't know, I'd say maybe slightly even more conservative than college administrators in other places, but still, it's part of this liberal running a campus mindset that you kind of prohibit individual responsibility, and you take that away from people and say it's we will decide how people should be safe. From covering college issues, I see this on a variety of fronts, including like personal health and well-being. That students shouldn't be allowed to smoke cigarettes because they want to improve. They want to force them to improve their overall health or something. It's a sort of run your life nannying mindset, and allowing people to have guns clashes with their agenda in that regard. No matter how wise it would be, I still see them always wanting to prohibit that for a long time moving forward, sort of independent of public opinion.
Right. And, Robby, you cover a lot of these in dealing and speaking with these university and college students. And while this law specifically applies to faculty and staff with concealed carry permits, allowing them to bring weapons on campus, and sadly we're seeing more incidents of mass shootings on campus, what are you hearing? We hear from the universities, we hear from the boards, we hear from the presidents, but what are the students saying about this?
I expect that. It's the same. A lot of college students are quite liberal in that way. That they probably don't mind it. Unfortunately, that they share administrators' views on personal responsibility. Many campuses do have a conservative or a libertarian student group who is thankfully highlighting these issues and creating a dialogue about whether to discuss the issue of whether guns are just this automatic thing that causes people to go crazy that we can't let any sane person have, or whether guns are something that will actually deter crime and allow people to protect themselves in God forbid emergency situations which do happen. But students are, just because it's a college campus, it's a place of higher learning. Not everyone always demonstrates that they are learned individuals on public policy issues, in my experience.
Well, with that idea, one last question for you, Robby, is that, as you said, there's a changing mindset across the country in regard to the numbers of shootings that we continue to have, and people want to assert their Second Amendment rights. They want to be able to protect themselves. What are your thoughts that over time, with sadly more incidents like this, that this will permeate onto college campuses and people really standing up for their right to protect themselves on college campuses?
Well, maybe it will, and I hope so. And many of these, but these shootings inflame people both ways. I would look to something like the Aurora shooting, where a movie theater where there was an advertised, gun-free zone policy that just prevented anyone from being able to defend themselves, but didn't deter the killer. I see that as a clear, these policies do not work. It would be one thing too if a campus is a big grid of space. You can't lock it. You can't lock it down and have metal detectors at every post to make sure no one coming on campus is bringing a gun, which just means responsible people won't bring it, and violent, frightening people would. But whereas I think you and I and many independent-minded and conservative-minded people see that argument, it just doesn't fly at universities, and that's unfortunate.
Right. I agree. Robby Soave with the Daily Caller. We appreciate your time and look forward to talking back with you soon. And you can see his work on dailycaller.com. Robby, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Have a great day. And just want to make sure and point out that we contacted the University of Arkansas system, and they sent a statement in regard to this from Ben Beaumont, the Director of Communications. And he did say that the university administrators consulted with faculty and staff, students, and campus law enforcement officials who did not feel that allowing faculty and staff to carry concealed handguns on campus would improve campus safety. So that is the response from the University of Arkansas system.